Remember when the Biden DOJ used the FACE Act to jail peaceful pro life grandmas? Well, under Trump, that same law is now being used the right way against radical leftists who stormed the church, trapped worshipers, and disrupted a service in Minnesota. And yes, Don Lemon is one of them. He was arrested, charged, and now crying free speech. Literally, he was teary eyed. Okay. The irony is delicious. Stick around because the double standard just died and the media is melting down. Take a look.
I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced.
All right. So let's get into this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Back with us tonight is Yana.
Hello.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So, again, folks, we have a lot to cover tonight. Before we light this fire, do your part, tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. And folks, it's the last show of the month. So please, your super chats are really going to help us have a great month, help us put out more content, conservative content next month. So your super chats will go a long way in helping us tonight. And they also show you can join the conversation because we shout out every super chat. All right. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Oh my goodness, the tears were coming down today. All right, Miss Thang, Don Lemon. That's what I'm calling. I'm calling Miss Thang because he sat up there and looked like some lesbian with glasses on. They got him. All right. Shelly, I got to go to you. Did you think this was going to happen? And what do you think is going to happen next?
I thought it was so hilarious. Number one. Number two, I said lemonade will just be refreshing again. Let me take a sip. Oh, I tell you, I had to make me a fresh glass of lemonade. It was hilarious. I would have loved to have been on that Grammy red carpet just to see it. I mean, it was hilarious. You can't make this up. And he is still going around. He's a journalist. I guess he's a journalist. He's been one for however long, but you can have First Amendment rights. I'm an advocate of 1A, but I don't go into private places and tearing down, disturbing worship services, and then saying, oh, I have a right to be here. No, you don't, dear.
Oh, we lost Shelly. All right, yeah, we'll come back to Shelly. Yana, what were your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm so glad that it happened because I was kind of following it and like, is he gonna get arrested? I couldn't believe it. Honestly, at this point, it's hard for me to believe that real justice is going to happen, but I'm so glad that it's happening. And from what I saw, I mean, I may be wrong, but from the video of what was happening in the church, it seemed to me that he wasn't just recording, that he was protesting as well. I don't know if that's what you guys saw, but he wasn't there just to record. And so, yes, he should have not been there. And I think he's definitely an activist. And he should have, he deserves to be arrested just like everyone else who disrupted that service and terrified people who were there, especially the children that were there.
Well, here's a video of that day. And this one, out of all the videos that we saw and we talked about, this one is really pretty damning toward Don Lemon. Take a look. This is clip one.
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up to for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we were like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Nekima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going.
Okay, so you heard what he said. This is what we're doing. All right. And so again, he was very happy about what was going on. You can clearly see that he was all for what they were doing. He said he had been with them prior to them arriving at the church. He did some reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance.
Right. And so it looks like he is part of the protest. So I want to ask you, Shelley, when does reporting stop and participation begin?
Well, as far as I understand, if you are there and you're advocating for whatever it is that's going on, that is a line, or at least one of the tests. I don't know all the legal tests that could cross. Now, again, Don Lemon, as far as I understand, as far as I've been knowing, he is a licensed journalist. Okay, I'm not going to say that he's not, right? But he has blurred the lines by embedding himself, if you will, with this, I'm going to say illegal activity, because you went into a private establishment and basically burst in. They even asked you to leave. You stayed there. That's when the lines are certainly crossed, and you can't just say, oh, I'm first A. You can be first A. I'm 1A, but you can't go into someone else's private establishment and demand that, oh, I can be here. No, you cannot. It's a private establishment, and they had every right to ask you to leave, and you should not have been there in that capacity, or you should have defined what your capacity was from the beginning, even before you went in that church.
Yeah.
And I just want to add to that, right? So he keeps talking about his First Amendment, but what about these worshipers' right to assemble, to worship freely? What about them? That's their right, the same one that he is referring to. So you cannot disrupt someone else's or take away someone else's right because you have some kind of right. So it's so contradictory. And the fact that they disrupted worship, like, that should be really damning on them, on what they've done, because in my opinion, I think there has to be harsh punishment on anyone who disrupts worship of God.
Yeah, I agree. And folks, so let's talk about this. So we know the First Amendment protects speech. It does not protect unlawful conduct. And that's what we're talking about here. There is no journalism exception to criminal law. And the Supreme Court has ruled on this. It's been clear for decades. The press has no greater right of access than the general public. So if a private citizen can't lawfully do something, a journalist can't do it either, simply by holding a camera. All right. And that rule is where Don Lemon's defense starts to ravel. Oops. You hear that? All right. And that rule is where
Is it an echo for
Oh,
you?
sorry. I think it was on. I had the video on something else. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about here. And the Supreme Court has ruled on this. All right. In Brandsburg, Pell, and Houchins. All right. The rule does not disappear just because the subject is dramatic, illegal, or violent. Okay. And so, one thing I was asking is what about journalists that cover wars or cartels? You know, we see these types of things where you see war correspondents and cartel investigators. You know, this stuff is not legal. So, what happens there? Well, these people are generally embedded with the military with
Okay.
permission. All right, or they're operating in public areas, or they're granted access by sources who lawfully control the space. Okay?
Absolutely.
Key
Mhm.
point, access is granted, not constitutionally guaranteed. So you saw in the videos we covered this week or last week where the parishioners the pastor asked them to leave. He literally asked Don Lemon to leave. Okay. So again, this is the public space doctrine. All right. And now if something happens in public where any citizen could be lawfully and the journalist doesn't interfere, you're fine. Full First Amendment protection applies. All right. But if you're in a situation where where the First Amendment protects observation and documentation, but it does not protect helping criminals, acting as lookouts, blocking exits,
Mhm.
coordinating unlawful exit acts,
Right.
which is sort of what he was teetering on, trespassing into restricted areas, and then the moment a journalist crosses from observer to participant, the whole thing collapses.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's
If they
absolutely an activist. I
yeah,
mean, he's definitely behaving like an activist. If he was a real journalist, he would be standing outside of that church. I mean, if he, let's say he heard that there's something going on inside, all right, I gotta cover it, but legally he should have been staying outside, maybe interviewing people who are walking out to see what's going on there.
that's right. They went in. I was going to say similar, Yana. If they had sat in the church, right, and not disrupted the service, at least waited until it ended, right? Like maybe talk to people on the way out. That could have been a different story. But you again, you went into private space. You were not invited. Once you were there, you were asked to leave. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
You're right. And so of course the court is going to battle this out, but this isn't the first time something like this has happened. It actually happened under Biden. Folks, you guys remember journalist Steve Baker. He was an independent investigative journalist, formerly from the Pragmatic Constitutionalist. Later he was with Blaze Media, where I think he still is under Glenn Beck. He extensively covered January 6th events. He trials of defendants, alleged FBI and Capitol Police misconduct, pipe bombs, informants in the crowd. He was there and was arrested. All right. The FBI arrested him voluntarily. He turned himself in at the Dallas field office. They locked him up, handcuffed him, and everything. And so he received charges. He was charged 4 standard J6 misdemeanors: entering and remaining in a restricted building without authority, disorderly disruptive conduct to restricted building, disorderly conduct in Capitol building, and parading and demonstrating and picketing in the Capitol. This is all according to the Daily Wire. So what happened? Baker went to DC to cover rallies as an independent journalist. He did not have a formal press pass. He entered the Capitol through a broken window after barriers were already breached. He spent 37 minutes inside. He reached the area of Nancy Pelosi's office. There was already damage there. He filmed that extensively, and he was escorted out by police. That's it. He later voluntarily turned over his footage to the FBI, and then an FBI affidavit cites his on scene and later statements showing sympathy. So apparently he said he approved of 100% of what happened that day. and he called Nancy Pelosi some name, and he expressed regret that he didn't steal anything or something along those lines. But that's it. And they arrested him and charged him. Okay, so and we have a video for that. Let me see here. This is a video, clip 6.
I probably don't have a lot to say right now. I need to process for a little while. I'm actually still shaking a little bit. I don't like what I just went through. I don't like the deliberate humiliation that they put me through. There was no reason to do that. There was no reason to march me into a courtroom in leg chains today. There was somebody there answering for a felony, and they weren't in chains. My charges are misdemeanors. It's just it's mind-boggling. But that is unfortunately the type of selective persecution that January 6th defendants are facing. And ultimately, what we are looking at here, and probably the only reason that many of the January 6th defendants have had to go through what they've had to go through, is because of what I've talked about so many times and what I've written about so many times. It's called scary words. It doesn't matter if it's Stuart Rhodes. It doesn't matter if it's the grandmother who chanted USA, USA in the Capitol. It's the scary words that were said. If you don't say the right thing at the right time and comport to the right narrative, that's what they're going to do, is they're going to come after us, and that's exactly what's happened. It's not these charges have nothing to do with my behavior at the Capitol. These charges are reflective of what I said before and after my speech, what I thought about things, what I joked about. That's what this was reflective of. And so that's what we're up against.
All right.
Yeah.
You see that? Now, he was set to be sentenced on March 6, 2025, but after Trump's inauguration, and of course the J6 pardons and commutations, Baker's case was dismissed via presidential action.
If it wasn't for Trump, all those people that were arrested after January 6th would still be in jail, and including this journalist, because they wanted to put us away forever. And actually now it rings a bell. I think Don Lemon was still with CNN at the time, and he was reporting on January 6th protesters, calling them terrorists. And he was referring to everyone, not just the people who allegedly did some sort of damage or walked in. It was everyone who was there was deemed a terrorist by the left.
Well,
And they
Anna, do you think there's a difference from what Steve Baker did versus what Don Lemon did?
I mean, there's definitely a similarity. I mean, I have to be objective, and the fact that he did express that he supported the people who entered the Capitol, that he wished they stole something. I mean, definitely you should not be saying that. That was not a good choice of words. So, but at the same time, I feel like, well, if he was there just as an objective journalist and he happened to enter the Capitol to record what was going on, yes, it was trespassing. But at the same time, when you're a journalist, you want to report on everything, and maybe it's there's a huge story or something that he didn't want to miss. But then it was correct of him to turn over like all his footage and be open and to what he did. So yes, there's definitely parallel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so too. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
There are some parallels here, but I want to point out a few things. Number one, the point that I forget his name, Steve was making,
Steve Baker.
That he was charged with misdemeanors. He was not charged with breaking or entering through the broken window or coming in that way, which was interesting, which probably would have been a more valid charge. He was charged for speech. That's definitely anti 1A. Whether or not he approved of it, liked it, didn't like it, he can express those thoughts. That's why I'm first A. That's number one. Number two, under Obama went after conservative groups, namely the Tea Party and some other groups, and used the IRS simply because of the politics. So again, Steve also used number three, the word selective. This is what I was going to say. This is why it becomes selective. One administration is going to use this particular whatever law or statute against the group that they don't like, and the other administration can do the opposite as well. So then our laws become, again, they become selective, they become partial, and they become, I'm going to use this word, cronyistic, if you will, based on who you like. This is why I say first A. I don't have to agree with Steve's thoughts about what happened in the Capitol. I don't have to agree with them, but they are not illegal. They are not, they should not be, managed, if you will, that he can't say them just because the government doesn't agree with what he said. So he made that point too. Right. So yeah, these are similarities and there's some differences. And regardless, if it's 1A. Now the trespassing part, which is what Don Lemon did, and I guess Steve, but he wasn't charged for that. So well, yeah,
I think we know what he's talking about when he said he wasn't. I mean, the fourth charge, he was charged for 4 counts of misdemeanors. Entering and remaining in a restricted building without authority was one of the charges.
But he was, but the trespassing would have been a federal charge or a felony because it was on federal property. That's the point he was making there. Okay. But he even used the word again, selective. And he's right. This is selective, or it certainly appears that it's selective. Who is the government to say you can't have a thought about something on January 6th because if you agree, if you liked it or not? No, that's wrong. That's selective prosecution, if you will.
Yeah, I agree there. I agree. And then I think Don Lemon's case also is different because he's entering a church. They, the FACE Act is come into play here because he is prohibiting or intruding or impeding or obstructing a worship service. All right.
And the thing is that he also knew it was going to happen.
Okay. Yes.
It's not like, so I took a journalism class a long time ago in college, so like a little bit familiar. So when you're a journalist, yes, you want to get the scoop, you want to get the story. So let's say you find out that there's a protest or some violence going on in the church, and you enter because you want to record what is going on there because it's the big news. That's different from standing outside the church knowing that these people are planning to disrupt service and then being part of that. That's different.
Right. Well, the ones who were there many of them have been arrested, and 3 were additionally arrested today. Now, we spoke about this one here, Nekima Levy Armstrong, who was one of the first to be arrested. Well, she was out today doing another press conference, and folks, you're not going to believe what she said here. Take a look here. This is clip 2.
We had belly chains around our waist, and we had handcuffs with bars in the middle. As someone who majored in African American studies, I can tell you that is the closest I ever felt to slavery in my life. Being shackled as if I was a slave. It is unacceptable and unconscionable, but it's on brand for.
Okay, let's get into this. I wish they would have took one of them braids and wrapped it around her neck and pulled her like a dog. That's what I wish.
Put the muzzle around
ridiculous. Every black person that watched that should be embarrassed for her. Shirley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, they should have just finished it off and put the muzzle in the bite chip or whatever. Put all that on it too. Give it a full effect so she can actually claim that she was a slave. These people, again, they will find any narrative particularly related to slavery and they will ride with it. I guess she's getting an early Black History Month start right now.
I took an African American history class. You dummy. Where did you take it? They need you to get your money back because they told you wrong.
Oh, it's too funny. So basically what she's saying is that every time a Black person gets arrested, they're being turn into a slave.
Yeah.
Like that's what she's saying. That basically now we cannot arrest a person of African descent in America because that is somehow reminiscent of slavery. Well, in history, in the world history, every ethnicity or every person might have had a slave in their back. So every time like someone gets arrested, they have a flashback. I mean, that is so. It's it's just performance. It's performance. It's theater. It's something to say, and they're just playing on this on the race agenda, and it's just it's boring at this point.
That's exactly what it is.
It
And
is.
I hope that, well, people are falling for this. People going to see
Mhm.
that and they're like, yeah, I know. That's what it means. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Well, let's see
I
what
know
else
we have
they
some super
say.
chats
Yeah,
here.
we have some supers. Let's see what they say about this. All right, we have Kung Fu CJ with your $2 super chat. Hello, ladies, and my PAP family. Thank you, Kung Fu, for stopping by. Night Mover, $10 super chat. Thank you. Hi, ladies. Great job as usual. Thank you for your super chat, Night Mover. Kung Fu CJ again, $2 super chat. No, lady, you were treated like a criminal. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. They should have hog tied her ass. That's what they should have done.
No, yeah. I mean, this is people really. I think they need to get rougher with these people so they could really. If you want to compare yourself to slaves, all right, I'm going to show you what the slaves really had to deal with. Okay, since you want to use that, it's really a slap in the face to our ancestors who actually went through slavery, who actually went through Jim Crow and things like that. Who are innocent, who didn't deserve it. Okay, unlike you who were in there disrupting a church service. All right, this is ridiculous. But again, they continue to cry and whine, and I love it. Look at this next clip. This is another one. This is a rioter that was there. She was part of the press, I believe, or claimed to be part of the press. Her name is Georgia Fort. Here she is, whining and crying about being arrested. This is clip 5.
Or not.
I should be protected under the First Amendment, just like all of the journalists who I've been advocating for, too. I've been advocating for mainstream media journalists who have been brutalized for months. Do we have a constitution? That is the pressing question that should be on the front of everyone's minds. And so to everybody who showed up today, thank you. Please continue to support the other people who are being charged. Obviously, because there's ongoing litigation, there is not much that I can say beyond what I'm saying now, but amplifying the truth, documenting what is happening in our community is not a crime. And the questions that were asked a few weeks ago on a Sunday morning by concerned community members, those questions still need to be answered. And as a journalist, I am committed to continuing to follow the story until their questions are answered. Thank you.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Shelly, what are your thoughts there?
Okay, let's get something clear. You still have a First Amendment right. What you don't have is a right to go into a church, disrupt the service, and stay there, trespass on the property. Those are the rights you don't have. You can ask all the questions you want. You can be a journalist. This is ludicrous. Okay, she's standing there. I thought I was protected. You have a First Amendment right just like I do, but I can't go into a church and disrupt it, or I damn sure can't go into a mosque or any other place and disrupt it. I wouldn't. I mean, I couldn't do that, and I wouldn't do it, number one, but that's what I don't have the right to do.
Yeah, and nobody would even think to do this to a mosque. That's the thing that I don't like. No one would even think to go to somebody's mosque and do something like this, but they do it to Christians all day. This group, they've been doing that. Wasn't the only church. They did it to another church in Minnesota recently. It's disrespectful, folks. It really is. Yana, what are your thoughts?
It's disrespectful. They have no respect for Christians, for conservative people. They are the enemy. Like they see us as the enemy, and they're our enemy. That's what it is. And they want to destroy our culture and everything that we stand for. And so this lady, what is she talking about? She's the one created chaos, and then she's upset that she was charged for creating chaos. She wasn't there to just report, and they had so much bravado walking into that church. They were all like, "Ooh, we're about to, do this," and now they're crying the victim. And it's very, very typical communist Marxist behavior because they are on the mission. They want to win this culture war. They want to appear as the morally superior group, and that they're going to present themselves like this. And they're just conniving, lying, disgusting human beings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the reasons why we see a lot of leftists do this to churches is because, quite frankly, there are a good amount of Christians who have just are yellow belly. I mean, they have really given a bad name to Bible believing churches. Okay. And one of them is this Senator Warnock. All right. What I call him Warlock. All right. Take a look here. This man, I mean, oh, this was disgusting. He is at the Alex Pretti vigil, and he makes a comment. He's standing on holy ground. What in the world? This is clip 3. Take a look.
There really are no words. It was a deeply moving experience. As I said, I felt like I was standing on holy ground. Alex Pretti's blood cries out to us. We are better than this. We can do better than this.
That is not even a Christian thing to say. A man's blood cries out. What is he talking about, Shelley?
Again, well, first of all, we know Mr. Warnock here. He seems to like people bleeding out. Okay, like the people that he supports having abortions up until the birth up until 9 months. That would kind of give him the Uzis, I guess. He loves that. This man is, I call him a fraud. I wonder how many vigils or services he attended in Georgia that people were murdered by illegal aliens in his state. I wonder if he's done that. I don't think he has. When I looked a very quick search, I couldn't tell that he had done so. These people are pimping and prostituting off of the backs of people who were killed. ICE, Alex Pretti, whomever else, all of these other illegal Americans were killed. They are making their own power plays to maintain their status. And that's all they're doing. He doesn't give a damn about Alex Pretti or Pretti, however you pronounce his name. He doesn't give a damn. He's using it for his own success, his own power, his own status. He is trying to milk the moment.
Yeah. Yana, what are your thoughts here?
It's the same thing. He's playing on people's emotions, and the Marxists now have a couple of martyrs, so they're going to milk that and use that for their advantage. First, they tell people, they literally agitate people to come out and break the law and fight law enforcement, and then they have people getting hurt, like Alex Pretti and Renee Good. And so this ideology, this violent ideology that they have, they promote in their circles, and of course they get some casualties. And now it seems like they would love to have more, because that's just going to push the agenda even more. They would like to see more victims instead of telling people, let law enforcement do what they're supposed to do. They want the chaos. They want people to hate each other in America. It's their goal. And so we have to be really vigilant of that. And unfortunately, people on the left, they're falling for this fear mongering and division tactic that the left has right now.
Absolutely. I mean, folks, I was so enraged by him calling that holy ground. And like you said, Yana, this is what they do. They relabel these political moments as sacred. and make them more than what they are. And we've seen this all throughout the night. Nekima, she's arrested for invading a church. Oh, she compares it to slavery. Now you have Warnock you comparing a vigil for this crazy white leftist as this is holy ground. Folks, in scripture, holy ground is declared by God's presence, not by some nutty human, emotional human, or some political symbolism. All right. Moses didn't decide the ground was holy. God did.
Right.
It's actually very pagan, to think about it. And that's a very pagan thing to say. They have their own religion. They have their own martyrs. They, talk about blood. So it has nothing to do with God. It's their own, this paganistic, satanistic mindset that they have. It's disgusting.
And Warnock, is he supposed to be a reverend? I think he's a reverend. Right. Well, again, I want to ask, for some reason it dawned on me, Laken Riley was murdered in Georgia, or she was a Georgia student. He didn't attend her vigil. He's a senator there. He didn't attend her vigil. I think he may have made a general statement, but I bet he didn't attend her vigil. In no way, shape, or form would he have gone there and said even some beautiful things or things about Laken, but calling against the murderer, the illegal who did it. He wouldn't do that. This is why I said these people, these are politicians. They are just doing it for their own benefit. They are pimping the people. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. I think we have some super chats.
Yeah, we have some supers here. Come on in, you guys. What do you have to say? Kung Fu CJ again for your $2 super chat. He said, "Winch, you were asked to leave." Talking about that woman asked to leave that church. That's right. Thank you, Kung Fu. Robert Mason, thank you for your $5 super chat. He says he has his wife watching us all. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Couture Leotards for your $5 super chat. Had she gone into a black church, they would have locked the doors and ties to leave, or had that table flipping Jesus energy. That's right.
Yeah.
Monica, thank you for your $20 super chat. Monica says, "I'm so exhausted of all these brainwashed, low IQ minions of the left. They're like spoiled kids who have been disciplined for the first time and are throwing tantrums. We have to pray for these lost souls." Yeah, thank you, Monica. Thank you. And when you have children throwing tantrums, what do? You don't cater to them. You don't coddle them. You either tell them to get their asses up, or you pick them up, throw them in the cart, and go about your business. That's it.
Yeah.
So Monica's back again with a $5 super chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Also, that reverend, quote unquote, is despicable and a disgrace. He's going to have to answer to God one day. Thank you, Monica.
Absolutely, folks. Thank you all so much, folks. This is the last day, the last show for us for Poppin' Politics for the month. So your super chats go a long way in helping us produce this conservative content. Folks, we really appreciate it. And as you come in, hit that like button. That helps get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. And we have more to come, folks. Tomorrow, we have Just the Guys. So that's our brother's station here, Just the Guys podcast. You can catch them on tomorrow, Saturday, and each and every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. They provide a perspective, a male perspective, and they really dig in on how Marxism and communism has infiltrated most areas of our lives. So check them out again every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. All right. And then you can check me out. I'm KJ Christian Conservative. You can check out that YouTube channel every Thursday and Sunday night at 9 p.m. Michelle and I are on there bringing you the latest in news and pop culture from a biblical perspective. So we really dig into the word. And so definitely check me out on there at KJ Christian Conservative. All right. So we're going to change gears a little bit here and talk about a local issue within Maryland. But folks, this is affecting many states that are Democrat led. Okay. Many cities that are Democrat led. All right. And so this is why we want to bring this to the forefront. We got another super here, Shelly, before we get into it.
We have the Scrapping Beauty. Hey. Hi. Thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, agents of chaos, they do what they do. They suck at life, and good people give, not disrupt. Thank you for that. Yes. Butterbean, thank you.
Thank you.
$10 super chat. I'm in Georgia and I do not claim him. Talking about Warnock. He is a preacher as in false prophet, and he is the preacher at Ebenezer Baptist Church, MLK's church.
Right, MLK's church. Okay. Wow. All right.
Oh, we have one more, Kimberly. Thank you for your $10 super chat, Kimberly. She says, remember to pray for ICE and Border Patrol agents and their family. And Kimberly is also one of our Freedom Seeker members. Thank you.
Yes, we do. We pray for them all the time. Thank you so much for that reminder. All right. So speaking of prayer, folks, our children in this growing up in this generation need prayer. The education systems are all messed up here in Maryland. The left is taxing us out of the wazoo. I mean, from regular taxes to fees, it's all over the place. Okay. And so it's put a strain not just on the education system, but also on businesses. Well, we have one gentleman here who recently went to the Board of Education to talk to them about the issues surrounding education and job economics for young people. Take a look here. This is clip 4.
Dr. Miriam Rogers and the board and the staff. What I would like to see happen with the budget is I would like to see our public high schools transformed into trade schools. I think that the budget should move towards that direction. I've seen every reality there is to see in the state of Maryland. I've been up, I've been down, I've had wins, I've had losses. And one thing I've learned is that when children can't correlate school to money, it develops a disinterest in school. So I feel as though that we should add trades back into the high school curriculum. I also feel like we should add driving school or driver's ed back into the high school curriculum. I feel like we should be allocating funds towards adding credit development, first-time home ownership, civics, business startup. I believe if we was allocating funds in that direction, children would be more excited about attending classes. I own a business in the state of Maryland, and the kids there can't count money. So when my employees are giving out change, they don't know the difference between a quarter and a dime. That's how bad it is. So I think that we need to add financial literacy back into the high school curriculum. I think that children should be graduating with a skill set that will gain and earn them an income. And I believe that high school is not preparing our constituents for real life. And I believe that's why our school systems are failing.
Wow. Powerful, powerful testimony. Well, joining us tonight is this gentleman here, Yahoo Blackwell, and he is running for office. How are you tonight, Yahoo?
I'm good. How are you? How's everybody?
I'm well. We are excited to have you on, first time on Pop and Politics. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So before we get into it, please tell the audience about what you're running for, the position you're running for, and talk about why you decided to give that testimony.
Oh, yes. So I'm running for state senate. I'm running in legislative district 8, and education is like the core of my platform. I started a series that said, if you fix education, you'll fix the entire state of Maryland. And so, yeah, I've been fighting hard to, create robust legislation that'll fix our school system.
All right. Excellent. And so you brought up some very good points at that testimony. And one of the things that really struck me was how you were advocating for trade schools. And we've heard a lot of talk about that. Can you give a little bit more detail about why you believe that would be a beneficial and what you think the results would be?
Absolutely. I was trying to explain to the Board of Education that when kids go to school, if they can't correlates school to money, it develops a disinterest in school. And I know that firsthand because I felt the same way when I was going to school. You know, I was in class and I couldn't understand how these classes were going to teach me how to survive in the real world. So I was telling them that we need to add trades back into the high school curriculum. Students should be able to graduate high school with skills so that they can take care of themselves. I was telling them that crime is a two-part solution. It's internal and it's external. So, you know, of course, we got to have police and add more, you know, police to our neighborhoods, et cetera, and support our law enforcement. That's the external. But internally, we have to give students and kids resources and skills so that they can take care of themselves.
Right.
When people can fish for themselves, it organically lowers crime.
Mm-hmm.
So crime is it happens because when you can't feed yourself and when, you know, your confidence is low and, you know, you have all these needs and wants in your life and you can't fulfill them, that's what begins to create crime or criminal.
Right.
So we have to give kids skills. And so I was telling the Board of Education that if y'all want to really get a grip on crime, it begins with teaching people how to survive.
Right. Wow. Thank you, Yahoo, for being here. I actually posted and commented on that clip on IG that was shown. But this is my thought. Number one, what you are advocating, Booker T. Washington told us that decades ago, right, in the 1800s, right?
Yes,
because
yes.
if you have a skill, even while you're going to school, have a skill that you can earn and have a living off of for your family, for yourself. That's number one.
Correct.
Number two, I mentioned in my comment that Roland Fryer, the Black Harvard economist, has done research on this, where he has paid students for inputs. Inputs mean studying, reading, so that they can have positive outputs on the test. And the research was very productive, and it showed that it was a positive correlation between earning money for students and education. That was just one. But this is my question for you. Why do you think, in Maryland in particular, education more broadly, why don't they want to implement these specific methods that you are advocating for?
I believe the Democratic Party thrives off of crime and thrives off of, cities not developing and people, being down. I think that's done systemically or systematically. I know they're probably going to fight me on it. And, that's why, I'm asking the community to pull together, because we can solve these issues with proper legislation, and education is one of them. So, I was telling the Board of Education, you guys are so confused about crime and about this and about that. But if we fix education, that's half the battle. That's half the battle.
Well, that is a really amazing thing that you're doing. It's a really honorable, and I wish you all the luck. I actually work in education, so this is very close to me, and this is something, the education system in America has been bothering me since I came to America. As a teenager, I came from Russia, and right away, I went to high school here, and right away I saw problems. And I'm not saying Russian system is the best, but when you compare, when you see the two systems and when you're in it, it really it speaks for itself. For example, back in other countries, in where I grew up as well, after 9th grade, students are actually able to pick their trade or their career path. And actually in Russia, they're able to graduate after 9th grade from the school, from it's called I guess they call it the primary, or the first school that they go to, and go to college right after 9th grade. They don't have to wait until 12 or 11, 12th grade. There it's 11. You can stay until 11, but you don't have to. So, and here, the way that my experience was also in America is that it just seemed so pointless. This dragging this time until you're 18 years old already, an adult, and you have no skills. The classes were not really helpful to you. Don't really, and how it became part of a culture too, when it's okay for someone who is 18, 19, 20 years old to say, well, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do in life. Like,
Right.
it shouldn't be like that.
I agree.
That is why we have people with incredible student debt, because they're, for the next 10 years, they're trying to figure out what they want to be, and they're racking up debt as they're doing it. So that needs to be fixed, because it's a crisis. Yeah, it's definitely, the schools have to have those things that you're talking about, those types of classes. They also need to be teaching life skills, like building things, like shop class or home ec, things like that, cooking. In terms of counting money, I heard this from a veteran teacher, that once Common Core came to schools, that was removed. Teaching, it was removed from the curriculum, teaching how to count money and how to tell time. So that's across the board. If any school that is using Common Core, so it's really, there's a lot to fix. So education is in crisis. The issue there is also the shortage of teachers. So it's very difficult to, well, those amazing classes that you were talking about, but it's very difficult to find teachers. Because it's a difficult job. There's very little rewards, or it's a thankless job.
Yeah.
So my question is for you: what is your strategy, and where are you going to begin on how to start tackling these problems?
Well, I'm a firm believer that students shouldn't be sitting at a desk all day. I'm a firm believer of this. So once I begin creating the legislation for this, I'm going to collaborate with all of the, different trade outlets in Maryland, so that students will spend some time in class, and the rest of their time they'll be gaining their hours and their apprenticeships on their selected trades. I'm going to incorporate, as I was saying, credit development, first-time home ownership, civics. I was telling the Board of Education that if not filing your taxes can land you in prison, why isn't it not being taught in high school? So I'm going to add that to the high school curriculum, where students learn how to file taxes. And, with all of this combined, students will be graduating with a high school diploma. They'll have a skilled trade under their belt, credit established. They have resources and how to navigate purchasing a home, civics, so that they understand state law, how to be a law-abiding citizen. I added all of this in, and it'll be no extra cost of the family, because I'm going to get rid of the waste and the fraud and allocate those funds correctly, and making sure the education is being enforced correctly.
Now let me ask you, because we've talked a lot on here, particularly about Black men in the last election. Black men have been leading the way as far as when you look at the Black community moving more conservative. What do you see right now is that reason? You as a Black man, you're conservative. Why do you, because this wasn't like this, a couple years ago. So what would be your message to those that sort of are on the fence, thinking about changing party, supporting conservative candidates, conservative movements? What do you think is the reasoning behind this shift? And it's being led by Black men.
Yeah, I believe that God is touching the hearts and minds of the people in America. And us as a people, truly, we've always been conservative people. We've always been, a part of this way of life. Um, and I believe we're finally getting back to that, and we need it. We need it bad because I don't even think this is a battle between uh, just party. I think this is a battle between good and evil at this point.
Yeah.
And God is moving, and He's calling us to to carry the mantle. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to doing my part. I'm gonna give it all I got, and
Yahoo,
sure.
I have a suggestion slash
Sure.
comment for you.
Okay, sure.
Is there let's say one school, whether it's a small private school in your area, that is willing to collaborate with you? And I'm asking you that because we know there's a curriculum, and I know it's called 5 C's. There's a 5 C's program curriculum, education curriculum, and it's free. They will come out, give the school the resources. They incorporate the civics, I think the conservative, the Christianity, and I forget what the other C's stand for. But is there a school that you might think of, or that you might want to reach out to? At least start with that one school who will be willing to incorporate this curriculum along, for their students, even a middle school, maybe, I don't know, some small schools in the area. You don't have to say anything right now, but that came to my mind.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Once we get past the general, it's going to be full steam ahead. I'm going to everybody and bring everybody together. And one thing I was telling a lot of the people, even in the district, is that your children are not Democrats or Republicans. They're your children. And this policy is universal. You know what I mean? It's to benefit our children, our grandchildren, and our great grandchildren. So generational curses can be broken with this one policy if we all come together.
Wow, thank you.
All right. Now, you mentioned your campaign, so please share with our audience, how can people find you? How can people help support you? Please share with us.
Yes. Follow me on Instagram at Blackwell4 Maryland, or that's MD, Blackwell4 MD. And that's all across the board. That's my YouTube, that's Facebook, all the same handle. But yeah, definitely support me. I'm fighting for our children's futures, and I plan on using my platform to fix the state of Maryland.
All right. All the best to you, Yahoo.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all for having me.
Finally.
Yes. It's going to be an interesting election. I'm up against Democratic incumbent Carl Jackson, and I plan on giving him all the smoke.
All right. Absolutely. Well, anything we can do to assist, that will be, we're here for you, and we got to have you back on again.
Yes. Anytime. Thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Absolutely.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
We have a few supers here. Thanks for stopping, Blackwell. Let's see. We had the L Factor. Thank you for your $10 super chat. Says Black men started to become more aware of feminism and how most of it leans left. That's another reason Black men became conservative. Thank you, L Factor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see. Who else do we have coming up here? Kung Fu CJ again. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Kung Fu, he says, I like this guy. Facts on top of facts. That's right. Thank you for that. Kung Fu CJ again with $5 super chat. And I gotta mention Kung Fu is one of our long-term mods and a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. He says 100 years ago, a 9th grade education was the equivalent of a bachelor's degree. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely. And Gloria, hi Gloria, a member of our Freedom Club as well, and her $50 super chat. Gloria says the last giving day is another Thanksgiving day. Yes, thank you for your very necessary program. Have a wonderful weekend. Everybody remember to say special prayers for Nicole as we pray for our PNP team. God bless you all. Thank you, Gloria. Yes, we certainly will. And we have been praying for her as well.
Yes, we have, folks. She is out with relatives, and so hopefully she will be back next week. But please keep her in your prayers. she's mentioned here on the show she has a sick relative and she's
Mhm.
caring for them.
Yep. Kung Fu CJ again. Thank you for your $5 super chat. He has a friend, Carmen Johnson, who tried this 12 years ago, the program or the education change that Blackwell is talking about, and it fell on deaf's ears. Yeah, a lot of things to do. One of the things that Blackwell basically he's saying is that our education system is really based on the industrialization model. Most of the time, kids are just taught if there's more for teaching kids to sit, follow the rules, stay in the line, listen to the bells. That's more of that than it really is about educating them and giving them skills. Jessica, thank you for stopping by with your $10 super chat. I hope Mackenzie's doing well. Jessica says she took home economics in 7th and 8th grade. Common Core is the ruination of the school system. She told Mackenzie's teachers that she won't do her homework on with the Common Core because the end result is the same. Yep. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so much stuff. You know what? I think, and I meant to say this to him. Sometimes I think we should start our own school. You know, even if it's not a school, we need to start some type of initiative or co-op where we, somehow take a small group of kids and we start our own.
Well, because the left took over education in this country. Like when he was talking, I was just thinking, how is he going to go against the what do you call it? The Board of Education, or what are the Department of Education, and all of these leftists, these communists, the Marxists who are in charge of pretty much every school in America. So that, yes, the conservative people, I don't know how they can send their children to leftist schools where they are every day they're being indoctrinated. So it's scary.
It really is. Folks, before we leave, we want to bring you some breaking news. So they are absolutely losing their minds in Los Angeles, California tonight. They are having these anti-ICE protests. Now it's turning into riots. Take a look at this film from the scene. Even CNN is now admitting that this is total chaos. Take a look here.
You can see an officer back there. He's alone and they're just throwing things at him. I mean, it's just pretty incredible that these protesters have overtaken this and there's no police. I don't see anybody here to kind of manage this crowd. So like I was saying, this is at the tail end of a very long day. Looks like they're cheering because they were able to push that officer back inside. Okay, and now people, okay, all right, hold on. Do you see the police? You can see an officer back there. He's alone and they're just throwing things at him. I mean, it's just pretty incredible that these protesters have overtaken this and there's no police. I don't see anybody here to kind of manage this crowd. So like I was saying, this is at the tail end of a very long day. Looks like they're...
So, I mean, this is insane. And one thing that I don't hear talked about enough is in these leftist enclaves, they're allowing these people to just tear up the city, tear up property, and destroy it. And then what happens? Property taxes go up, property values go down, and it ends up being the citizens that have to pick up the dime for all of this terrible chaos when they tell the police to stand down. This is insane. Why do they allow this to happen?
Because to them, destruction, the revolution, overthrowing, if you will, the government, law and order certainly are absolutely meaningless to them. Their agenda is whatever their agenda is, and is to destroy, to tear down. They don't give a damn about that. This is why that type of quote unquote protester, they're not the protesters. You cannot reason with them. They're sort of in this like we said earlier, this is their religion. So this is like their frenzied part of their religion, if you will. They get caught up in this frenzied acts and all that, just like, you know, in other religions, like for instance in the Black church, you know, many people know they shout and they, you know, hallelujah, and they praise. Well, this is their praise fest, their twisted praise fest.
Yeah, Yana, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, it's despicable. That was a scary scene, and I don't understand why the National Guard is not there at this point, because that is really scary for those soldiers, the officers that are there, and really, it's the Democrat leadership of California, like Shelley said, they are against the current administration. So for them, this is great. This is chaos that they want to see. They want to show that the public, the American public, is against these Trump policies. And they want to see chaos. They want to change the United States into a Marxist utopia that they have in their minds.
Yeah. Well, folks, we will continue to follow this and what's going on here. I know we have some additional super chats. Thank you all so much.
Okay, here we go. Couture Leotards again. Thank you for your $2. She says, Dr. Umar, sis. The lady. Okay.
The school. Is it the school thing when we said we want to open a school?
Oh, okay. Okay. That's right, Yana. That's right. Thanks, Paul Carrick, for stopping by with your $10 super chat. We so appreciate that. And Jessica's back again. Jessica's also a member of our Freedom Seekers Club, and this is her $2 super chat. She's saying that they're pissed in California because Bovino is there. It's BS. Okay.
All right. Well, folks, that does it for us tonight. Yana and I are going to see Melania movie this weekend. So we're going to report back. We're going to take video of everything. We're going to vlog our tour time there, and we're going to bring you a full review of the movie. Okay.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. So it should be good. We're going to tell. Hopefully, you guys can go this weekend as well. But we're going to, if you can't, we're going to go and we're going to bring you back all the juicy details. All right. Well, that does it for us tonight. Again, folks, thank you all for watching. We will be back on Monday night at 9 p.m. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.